The snow fell heavily on a lonesome tramp, who wandered about the streets, newspaper in hand, a tear in his eyes, a cut in his heart. He slumped down by the side of a road as cars drenched him with the snow that had melted. He drew his bobble hat down over his eyes and was left inside the darkness, which he knew too well. The tramp sobbed, but he did not move, accustomed to much crying. He could do it without anyone really knowing. The tramp left the hat on the dusky world in which he had been mistreated by so many, in a world where so few had been kind to him. He pulled the holy gloves over his hand and revealed the cuts and bruises he had endured over the land. They looked as if he had muddled the very earth with them, molded the very earth with them. They were that badly lined. He took a 50p from his pocket that some kind bearded stranger had given him. It shone like a jewel. For him, I guess it was. He picked himself up feeling like a bag of bones. He went to the cafe, but they would not serve him. He even waved the coin and smiled, showing his broken and dirty brown teeth, but they lifted their noses up at him. He went across the street as the snow came falling down to a more friendly man selling drinks on the street. He gave his 50 pence and got a cup of hot tea, which he clutched in his hands and fed off the warmth. He smiled before he took the first sip. He went back to his spot and sat down and watched his neighbors, the shoppers, with their large bags squashing them into their luxurious cars, their children holding tight their mummy's hand. He tried to look back into his memory for a time when he was young and happy, but he could not find that location. All he knew was sitting on the corner of this lonesome street. He looked at his trousers. A hole once small had grown large, exposing the frostbitten part of his knee, which was black and bruised in color. He rubbed it a little and put some hot tea on it, which made it feel better. He took another sip of the tea, and then it was all over. How quick he thought was that tea, but how sweet the taste when he had gone without. And now he would have to do it again, as he had no friendly stranger to give him a 50p. He got up to stretch his legs and looked over his newspaper. He went from page to page looking at the pictures and the headlines. News always the same, he muttered, as he put down his paper dated 25th of December, 1999. He had decided he would find a new spot today, and maybe some kind of strangers would he find. So he went across the road, and without looking, came a car that smashed straight into him, knocking him flying through the cafe window and dead onto the floor. His blood, a red color, seeped onto the clean white exterior of the cafe, as the people who had refused to serve him came running to see if they could assist him. But this time it was too late. He was dying. His eyes looked up at those familiar eyes. This time they looked at him more sympathetic. And for that, he gave back his last moment, a solitary smile.